Welcome to our webinar, Universal Design for Learning and the Importance of Learning Standards. A webinar by OCALI, and guess what? I'm your host, Ron Rogers. This webinar is only 30 minutes long. However, we like to say 60 minutes of learning in 30 minutes. Today's webinar was designed with the intention of raising cognitive conflict to challenge the mind as well as the procedure of learning and instruction. You're probably scratching your head wondering what that means. Well, when we get done today, I think you'll have a really good idea of just exactly what that means. So if you would, please type in the area that says put question here and we can see your posts. So this is the area where you can interact with us and we'll read a lot of your posts to share. There's also a button there for you to raise your hand. So let's practice the typing part as always. Please type into the question box if you are alone or how many people are sitting with you, and I'll read some of your answers. Alone, solo, alone, just me, alone, just me, alone, just me. Now that's kind of odd that these go in back and forth like that. Solo from Pamela, just me, solo, with colleagues. Amy, how many colleagues do you have with you? Just wondering. Amy has 2 with her. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, as always, if you would, if you're a person that likes to tweet as you learn, feel free to by using hashtag UDLPLN. And we all know there's a benefit to having that conversation in the background and answering each other's questions or telling your own personal stories in this back channel. I will try to monitor the tweets as time permits. Usually what I do is I check the tweets out after the webinar and then try to get back with folks during the evening when I can think about some of the conversations that you all had. Okay, the ICANN statements. Let's check those out. So, I'm going to warn you right up front, this has a real social emotional feel to it, so be sure to put on your seatbelt. Now, when I say social emotional, I don't mean that it's going to raise conflicts as far as procedural or anything like that, or the how, because we're going to try to stay away from the specifics, but really look at things in a general way, but it might be a real mind shift, and it is going to be interesting. So the I can challenge myself to do what is needed to assure all students understand the learning target. I can discuss the importance of students understanding that learning target or standard. And I can explain the importance of universal design for learning standards, targets, and progressions. So there's some real meat in this for 30 minutes. Okay, first poll question. You kind of read this to yourself this way. I participate in the following on learning standards. Okay, select one or more of the following. I participate in the following learning standards. I work with peers at my grade level to unpack the standard. I work with my students to create learning targets. I co-create ICANN statements with your students. None of the above. Okay, only 32% voted so far, so let's try to vote. And I know there's some people in the car that can't vote, and I understand that, and that's great that you still hop on and are able to participate. And the results are, work with peers at my grade level to unpack the standard, 69%. Work with my students to create learning targets, 35%. Co-create ICANN statements with your students, 23%, and then none of the above, 23%. And of course, if you add that column, it's not going to be 100% total because you can answer more than one of these. So anyway, those are great numbers. Okay. Have you noticed the new look of the UDL framework? Well, this is it. On the left, you'll notice how it is organized by access. If you look at the tab far left, access, and you go across, build, the one down, and then you can go across on build, and internalize. And then you can go to the right, and then there's also one there for goal at the very bottom. The UDL framework encompasses a lot. However, for this, we're focusing on the standards and the learning targets, progressions. There are many ways to accomplish what we're going to discuss. So in 30 minutes, we're only going to touch upon what people normally forget or don't focus on during the process. So I know I remember when I was a curriculum coordinator, I did not look at or identify the barriers in the curriculum. So I'm trying to make up for it now as I've gotten older and smarter and wiser. So that was on me. However, now to make up for it, of course, I'm working with everybody else. And we really have to take the time to identify the barriers and remove them from our curriculum, from our goals and different things. Now, some standards do have barriers and we can't change the standard. So at that point, we have to really look at scaffolding. So let's move to the next slide. Now remember, the Universal Design for Learning framework really supports all the things during the standards work. So Katie Novak says, the big picture is that UDL is thoroughly knowing the concept you're going to teach and presenting the concept in different ways while engaging the students and encouraging them to express their knowledge in different ways. So as you read the slide, which some people are in the car, so I am going to take a second to read it. It says Universal Design for Learning. Simply put, Universal Design for Learning is practice of embedding flexible strategies into the curriculum during the planning process so that all students can access a variety of learning opportunities. So we also have to think about our learning progression, which are the many points of entry with no end. Our Shauna Benson at OCALI calls it tip-to-tip flexibility to grow and learn. So why do we have the learning standards? In education, standards are a description of the skills, the knowledge, and disposition that students should have at a specified level. Skills, knowledge, and disposition. Those beliefs and intrinsic motivators, social, emotional, and metacognitive, become important. Social studies has them sometimes, and we pass them down through the generations. It's those dispositions are things that kind of live within us. They were ingrained in us. Literacy, when we're thinking about text to self connections, would be an example. Metacognitive thinking experiences. So, when we think about a standard connection, text to self connection, mind-based internal connection, some things are a little hard to measure. This is the one I wanted to jump to a second ago. Unpack that learning standard. 2 important points. Closely read the learning standard. Well, that makes sense. 2, use evidence from it to determine what students need to know and what they must be able to do. I'm just checking. I don't see any hands up, so we're good. Why have learning targets? Always a big question. Students need to know exactly what they're to learn. Same way with, we have to also think about, learning progressions also. So what I'd like to do now, I'd like to share a short story with you. And, I don't want anybody to take this personal or anything. This is my story. So it's kind of like, was kind of my mistake. It was a mistake that I made that I think other people can probably relate to. We don't always want to admit some of those things that we may have done or didn't do right. But here's one that I wanted to share with everybody. This story is to learn from and not to beat ourselves up over, okay? The story begins in a classroom where the teacher believed posting the objective and the ICANN statements were important. Yeah, that was me. I always felt that was very, very important. And so it was clearly in front of the room where all the students and visitors could see the ICANN statements. Believe me, I was proud of those. Sometimes these are found laminated or on a large ring so they can be changed throughout the year. Usually the classroom teacher will kind of state that learning target in the ICANN statements. The students may even copy those down in their notebooks. I never had them copy them down in their notebooks, but some probably did. Then walks in the principal and asks a few of my students what they're learning today. And the students, you know how that always is. They just kind of stare blankly. So wait a minute, I thought. the objective and the ICANN statements are clearly posted, and the students should know exactly what we're doing, right? So I reflect on that for a bit. Obviously, it wasn't working, because that is a great test, is when someone, whether it's a parent or a community member or a principal or a peer, comes in and asks the kids what's going on and they don't know. So after some reflection time on that, I started to think about who really owns that objective. So type in, if you would, in your question box, who really owns the ICANN statement when, as the teacher, we write it up there. There's some cognitive conflict. One person answered the students own it, even though the teacher wrote it up there. However, another person put just the teacher. Another one says the teacher, but another one says the students. So these are really they're just going right back and forth, teacher or student. So right here, we really have kind of a cognitive conflict, which I said we would have a little bit. And it looks like we are, which is nice. The teacher and the admin that likes to see it posted owns it. When the teacher's writing it on the board, it's just the teachers that owns it. Teacher does until it's shared with and made obvious to students, and students begin to own. Let me read some more. Teacher determines, Teacher writes it down, teacher states it, teacher begins the lesson with it. So as we think about that, what do we do about this dilemma? So what can we do to fix this dilemma? If you would put that in the question box, that would be great. How can we fix this dilemma if the students don't feel like they own it? You can't assume that there are no barriers for students just by writing it on the board. That's true. Oh, here's a whole lot of them coming in now. Have students brainstorm as ICANN statements from the standard. Have students write the goal, ICANN statement, or read it out loud. Find a way to have students demonstrate understanding. Clearly communicate the goal and talk about the process of learning. You guys are listing a lot of them here, and my cursor doesn't like to go down and hit all of these. Students more involved in creating the goal. Students need to be engaged before they can own it. I think to fix it, you can communicate the end goal you want them to learn, understand, and together come up with a statement so they can feel the ownership. Collaboration is key. These are all great. You are all, man, everybody's just piling these in. A learning target without success criteria might not be comprehensible for students. Self-assess to see what you think they learned. Okay, wow. So if some of you are wondering, okay, what does this have to do with standards? If you truly want to be efficient, timely, and directly on target, we all have to know the learning standards. To really have a deep understanding of those standards, teachers must give time and support to unpack them independently and collaboratively, which you've all suggested during these different things. And the unpacking while working collaboratively with our peers helps us to have clarity of standards and will impact our students' achievement. And furthermore, a well-articulated response from students on what they are learning and why is impressive to everyone visiting the classroom, not to mention students achieve more. So I love everything you guys have put down here. A couple more here added. Include students in setting and learning the goal, make connections between goals, lessons, and assessment items. That shows that students are learning. Students use own voice and own words. Outstanding. Okay, we're going to do a little activity here. So if you see on your screen, you should be able to see something that looks probably a little messy. It's an image, and I want you to locate the 5-pointed star. Go for it, and then let me know when you find it in the question box. Sheila, sorry, the participants don't get to see the rest of the group's answers. That's why I've been saying them verbally. Okay, one person found it. Let me help out some of the other folks. Going to scaffold it here a little bit. Going to make it a little clearer. Another person found it. Okay, I'm going to make it a little easier. See if you can find it. Made it a little more clear. Oh, now all of a sudden there's just a whole list of yes, 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 and found it, found it, found it, found it, found it. So this is kind of a crazy type of example of how we might scaffold something, or how we might just make sure that it's so clear that that statement, the most clear statement, can help a student learn the most the quickest. And it looks like most everybody has found it. Just in case you haven't, here's what this slide says. Students can hit any target they can locate and it holds still. That is so important when it comes to standards. Right there's the star in case you didn't see it, but I believe everybody found it. And of course, it doesn't look real straight because I had to kind of freehand that in there with, but yes, that is where it is. And that next slide, what we must be clear on our statements of what we want students to learn and be able to do. That is so important. And sometimes I think we forget some of those things, that, our students want to do the best they can for us the majority of the time. And sometimes we're in such a hurry, I think, to progress through things that we forget that they need a voice, and we forget sometimes that they need ownership. And we just kind of, those social emotional pieces that really truly engage our kids is sometimes lost. However, it also makes us much better teachers when we do listen to our students and work with our peers, whether it's vertical or horizontal, with our standards and learning targets and progressions. We have another poll. Let's do it. Which of the following do you rank as highest when it comes to learning targets? As the teacher, I know the learning target. Now you can only pick one. B, the learning progression is inclusive for all students. Or C, the learning target has been posted this morning. Cognitive conflict. You can only pick one. And we have, in 27 seconds, we have 56% voted, 59, 62, 64. This one's going up way faster than the last one. Now we have 67% voted, which is, we're up at 69. More folks seem to be voting on this one. Wow, 72% voted. Okay, I'm going to get ready to poll this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll close the poll and I'm going to share the results. Here are our results. As the teacher, I know the learning target, 7%. The learning target is inclusive for all students, 89%. Actually, that said, and I forgot to correct it in here, but I always admit my mistakes. The learning progression is inclusive for all students, and that's what I'd said when I first said it. The learning target has been posted this morning. The learning target has been posted this morning is at 4%. So the learning target, or the learning progression, is inclusive for all students, got the 89%. I'm going to leave it with that. It's the cognitive conflict and the things that you look up and look at later that really informs, what you do. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the results. Now, before I forget, I did want to mention that there's a great webinar handout, and you can find it at the link that's listed there. And please be sure to download it when you get a chance. It may also be at the bottom of your GoToMeeting. However, you and I both know what I'll do is I will send out a follow-up in 24 hours with the link with your certificate and also with the handout, as always. So, you always get the good stuff. And if you don't, you can always email me, because I'm always very responsive to that for those of you that have. There's the, if you want to scan the code, the QR code's right there. Okay, we're going to get ready to ask another question. Just kind of give people a chance there if they wanted to write that down or scan it. Okay, next poll question. This one's multiple answers. The next time I'm working with learning targets, I will. So let's pull it up. Launch. I will check for barriers, check for inclusiveness, create them with my students, do it the way I always have in the past, check for student understanding. And very quickly, 37 have voted percent, 46% have voted, 56%, 59%. I can tell you right now, I have a great group of people on here. You are all I just hope you learned something, from this. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you're already doing these big nugget things that a lot of people forget about. Let's go ahead and I will close the poll, and I'm going to share the results. And there are the results. Check for barriers, 81%. Check for inclusiveness, 81%. Create them with my students, 68%. Do it the way I've always done it in the past, 0%. And check for student understanding, 77%. So the next time you're working with learning standards, and we could say learning targets, ICANN statements, progressions, it's whatever, it's however you want to include, but create them with, work with the students with them and be sure that you check for student understanding. You're all on top of this. I can just tell, which is absolutely great. Without a doubt, this is absolutely great. I'm going to go ahead and hide the results, and we will move on. Oh, yes. As always, if you want to join one of the best chats on Twitter, it's hashtag UDL Chat. They're at 9 p.m. Eastern Time every first and third Wednesday. And we do welcome folks to that. We love it when you join in. It's a great chat. Cast is always with us, and folks from all over the world. And there's one lady that she's on here with us today, Pamela, and from Chile. And not only is she on here today, but I don't think she's ever missed one of these. She's usually on the UDL chat with us. It's just a great environment of a lot of people from all over the world. And if you'd like, here's something you can think about doing. If you have a UDL classroom, what we're doing in Ohio is we're having teachers they're starting to use hashtag MyOhioUDL Classroom, and they're tweeting pictures and stuff about what's going on in their classroom. You could all do that. Just, change the Ohio to whatever state you have and do the hashtag. It's pretty cool, and it's a great way to share. I think it's going to take a while for it to catch on, but we're really trying to, to change things. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oh man, this is the slide I always hate to get to. And I do like some of the comments in the question box that just came through. I love it when you say stuff. Super bummed. I just came in late because something came up. I apologize. Yeah, that happens. Totally understand it. I'm at a place right now. I had a training until 3, so I'm not even anywhere near where I need to be to but I did this here, and those things happen. Thank you for some good thinking today and reflection. Always take away something. Hey, Linda, I'm glad that you're with us. And for everybody else, thank you so much for spending the last 30 minutes with us today. We know how important your time is, which is why these are short, concise as possible. And please fill out the exit surveys at Leave Go to Meeting, because that's what helps us make these better. That way we understand what you like and what you don't, and every month we try to do better. So the next webinar will be in about a month. It will be the marriage of Universal Design for Learning and PBIS. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. We are actually 1 minute early being done. So again, we know your time's important, so we respect that. Have a great day.